Yo, what up guys? This video is to show you how you can get started making R&B beats pretty quickly in FL Studio using just their stock drums and plugins. So let's dive in. So first thing you want to do is go on click packs and look for instruments. And we're gonna go to the keyboard section and grab a Rhodes piano. They use Rhodes a ton in R&B, so it's a good place to start. Okay, so we're gonna start by writing out these chords. And if you don't know music theory, or if you don't know how to play piano or whatever, writing out chords is not as hard as you think. Just go by your ear. Like, pick a note to start and just work your way up or down, and if it sounds nice, roll with it. That's basically it. So I'm gonna start with a C sharp. Make sure, okay. I'm gonna go up. No, that doesn't sound good. Yeah. Okay. See, now we're getting somewhere. So C sharp and E. So let's keep on going. Okay, so most of the time half steps aren't gonna work. Meaning if I put two chords right next to each other, they'll work sometimes, but not all the time. Let's get this in a higher octave. So we can do that by pressing Control A and then Control up arrow, and that will bring us to the next octave. Actually, let's go back down. Okay, moving on up the ladder. F sharp sounds good, but a little too dark, and I'm going for like sexy. So let's try G sharp. Okay, I like that a lot more. No. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, it's just trial and error. And that's how easy it is to make chords. It's just going up or down and finding whatever sounds nice to you. So let's continue. Okay, so here's an example where we kind of have like two options. C sharp sounds nice, and so does D sharp. I think I like the D sharp more, so I'm gonna go with that. That sounds okay. Okay, so here's an example where having two notes right next to each other works. And if you notice, it's an E, and we also had an E in the beginning of this chord. So sometimes when it's you're playing an octave and that octave lands right next to another chord, another note, sorry, it works. So as you can see, that sounds perfectly fine. And we'll add one more octave. And we have a G sharp here, so we're going to play another G sharp just to make this sound super lush. Okay, yeah, so let's do one more chord. So we're going to go lower, and I'm going to start with a B. And same thing, we're going to go up and see what sounds right to us. But now it's a little different because we kind of have the first chord, we basically could do anything, but now since we have a reference point, we have like a mood, we're kind of a little dictated by this first chord as to what this next chord will be. So yeah, C sharp's not working, so I'm gonna go with a okay, D sharp sounds nice. I love it. So now we could start to figure out what scale we're in by repeating some notes that were in previous chords. So yeah, I think that works. So just gonna make one more chord, but I'm gonna do this quick. Okay, so that's our chord progression. It's just 3 different chords. The second chord is repeating twice. These guys. So another pro tip is press Control A and then Alt S to strum it, and we can change the timing of when each note hits. And we do this because it mimics a real pianist who, when they're playing, they're not hitting every note of the chord at the same exact time, no matter how good they are. So that kind of just gives it that more human feel by using the Strumminizer. So once again, Control A and then Alt S to open up this feature, and we're gonna shift this just a very little bit. And when you do when you use the Strumminizer, you got to make sure that it didn't go over the 4 bars. So we gotta cut this off, or else it won't loop correctly. So let's listen to it. Let's listen to it again. So yeah, very, very subtle difference, but you can see that the notes are no longer hitting at the same exact time. Okay, so these are going to be the main chords of our track, and so yeah, a lot of the times you'll just find that R&B just has one chord progression playing throughout the entire track. There might be a B section where the chords change up a little bit, but yeah, it's a lot of times it's just one chord progression. So we're gonna add like a little lead element, and I was listening to Mariah Carey, so I'm kind of in that mood. So we're gonna grab Bell, and we're gonna go with Glass. Now this has a delay on it, so we're gonna use very we're not gonna use a ton of notes, but we're gonna create a pretty interesting rhythm using the delay. So first thing I want to do is just throw this in the mixer, and I'm just gonna lower it a bit, so we can work on this little bell melody. Okay, so first thing you want to do is shorten out the note. FL Studio will always, the note that you'll play will always be the same length as the previous note. So if I make this longer, see, it keeps the size, and if I shorten it, it just goes to whatever the last note was, so lengthwise. So that's a little tip for you. Okay, cool. That took a little longer than I expected, but yeah, just this little bell melody. Kind of reminds me of something Mariah Carey would do. So we're gonna throw this into the mixer. Let's start naming things. Press F2 to name and color stuff. You can even give it a little icon. So oops, F2, call this bell, and call that blue or purple, whatever. Okay, so now we got our chords and our melody. So let's do a bass. So with bass, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up 3x oscillator and have it on sine wave. These guys are off, right? So I'm just gonna write the bass in a higher octave, and then we'll we'll lower it. simple bass line. Only thing I did here is at the end, I added a slide note. So we're going from B, and then another B, and then that's sliding up to a G sharp. Let's throw this in the mixer. Throw an EQ. I don't know if we'll even register this low. So I'm just creating a filter for the 3X oscillator. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. And I'm just this feature right here, the Mod X. It's just a low pass. So let's throw an EQ on the Rhodes, and we're gonna take out just a tad bit of those the lows. And just a little bit of those really harsh highs. Let's also throw a reverb on it. I usually like to cut off a lot of the lows of my reverb. Sometimes I'll even add an EQ after the reverb, but I'm not going to do that for this video. Just because low reverb just almost always sounds super muddy. Sounds cool. So this Belst needs some EQing too because it's super harsh. Okay, yeah, so I just took off some of the highs of the bell and the lows because we really didn't need it. And it just allows for more bass to, you know, to punch through the mix. And I just panned it a little left because it was just, I don't know, I felt like it was too in your face and a bit too loud. One more thing with these Rhodes, let's put a stereo enhancer on it. Wait, is it the stereo enhancer I like, or stereo shaper? And when you use the preset stereoize. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's just three instruments, all FL stock. Stuff you get right off the bat from buying it. And let's just do drums real quick. So I'm just gonna use the 808 drum, 808 kick, and the 808 snare, and the hats. Okay, so we have our tempo set to 130. I know that's pretty fast for R&B, but we're gonna be doing the drums in halftime, and basically what that means is we're going to be putting the kick on the 3 and the 7. So if you count with the click on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 3 where you counted 3 and 7 will be where your snare goes. So let's try it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so yeah, so that's where we're putting our snares. In like EDM and in most genres, like usually the kick goes on the 2 and the 4, but we're gonna be working with halftime. And really the main reason why people do halftime drums in FL Studio is basically so we have more space between, basically more grid space to work with. So if we want to do rolls and add perks, whatever, we just have more space because there's more room between each snare hit, and that's giving us the space. Hope I explained that out well, but yeah, I hope you get what I mean. So now we're just gonna add some kicks. Okay, so that's our kick pattern. Nothing too crazy going on. Just like making the chords, it's just trial and error. Like whatever sounds right is right. There's no rules to this. So you just place the kicks until they feel right. And you saw me just do that. Would that take like less than a minute? So let's put these hi-hats down. Get rid of all of these. I'll show you why in a second. Because we're gonna lower the velocity of every other one, and this just gives it a more human feel, like the Strumanizer with the Rhodes chords. And now we can just copy and paste, opposed to having to lower the velocity of every single one. So we can add a clap. it's not so EDM sounding. Maybe that will work. And we'll just put it on every other one. Let's lower the clap. Let's throw it in the mixer. And we're gonna add a reverb on it. Lower this a tiny bit, and let's throw the hats into the mixer and put reverb on that too. I'm gonna make the room much smaller for this. I'm just adding some quick little rolls. You can do that by hitting Alt-U. Just pitch these down. One last element before I close this out. I'm just gonna put a crash. Oops. And drown this with reverb. Pan it a little. Okay, so yeah, this is basically how you can start making R&B beats in FL Studio. Of course, there's like 1,000,001 things you can do to this. You can add other melodies, leads, B sections. Obviously, I didn't even arrange it. We can change up the kick pattern, change up the hi-hat pattern, you know, for the verses or the choruses or whatever. But I just kind of wanted to show you how you can get started making like modern day R&B in FL Studio with you know, just the stock drums and plugins. So if you don't have Omnisphere or Nexus or Kontakt or Massive, whatever, You know, you can still make some pretty dope beats.